Okay, hi. So I do want to say a couple things before I begin. First, let's hope that this recording goes well because I had to stop mine kind of in the middle because of a because there was music playing. There was a possibility I didn't pick it up, but just in case, I don't want to get copyright claimed. Okay, I really don't. Um, so yeah. Anywho, there's no music now, so I think we're good. Um, Other things. I may have been recording my last couple of videos with the light off and maybe not realized. Sorry about that. And what the hell was that? Anyway, and third, I was thinking of providing recommendations, but I actually won't be providing recommendations for this book or the next three that I am going to review because honestly, I don't read anything like these books in my regular life. So I won't be providing any recommendations for They Both Die at the End, which is today's book review. I also will not be providing recommendations for Her Night with the Shifter, Guilty Love, or a um, a Colton Encounter. Other thing, if you see an influx of romance reviews, in I am currently taking a romance class, so I will be reading a whole lot of romance. So I'll be reviewing these romances here. So if yeah, that's why there might be an influx of romance reviews. With that said, let us review or let us discuss or let me discuss in our lovely little corner of the internet. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This was a book club book for August of 2022. You'll be watching this if I keep my schedule. You'll be watching this in 2023. But basically, this was a selection from the Envisions College Success Program, and yeah, I have thoughts. Adam Silvera reminds us that there is no life without death and no love without loss in this devastating yet uplifting story about two people whose lives change over the course of one unforgettable day. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Death Cast calls Mateo Torres and Rufus Emeterio to give them some bad news. They're going to die today. Um, Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons, they're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news, there's an app for that. It's called The Last Friend, and through it, Rufus and Mateo are about to meet up for one last great adventure to live a lifetime in a single day. So I was very excited for this book. I want to say that right now. I was very, very, very excited uh, when picking up this book. I had heard so many great things. YouTube booktubers I like were really, really into the book. Um, they were um what was it? Oh, they really loved it. They were really excited every time they talked about it. Every time they talked about the book, they were very excited. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm actually kind of excited about this. I'm pretty excited over the fact that, there was such an excited book and usually my what is it? You know, the booktubers I tend to listen to watch are usually booktubers that sometimes I have reading tastes in common with. There are some that I don't because but they're still like interesting and I'm still like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll find interesting books in this genre that they might be interested in, and if the plot interests me, I could potentially, read it. And that's kind of how I go with a lot of the book when I go into booktube. That's kind of what I go with. So imagine my surprise when when it was chosen for book club. I was kind of like, okay, cool. I'm really excited for this, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to read it. Imagine my surprise when I read this book, and I was just really, really, really disappointed by the end of it. I was so disappointed. I think this book has a great concept. I think it has a really, 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 really great concept because it definitely has a concept that I would be really interested in. It has the it has the whole getting to know when you're going to die. It has the um it has it all. It has everything. It has like light sci-fi elements for me because I actually really like light sci-fi. um I really like not even light. I like sci-fi in general. I love sci-fi. And especially this one, which is kind of seemingly, now I could be wrong, but seemingly light dystopia. It seems to be a light dystopia book. So imagine kind of like, I was like, okay, yay, I love dystopia. I love most sci-fi. I love all of this stuff. I love a lot of this stuff that comes up in sci-fi, and I wish Dystopia was more published because I really love it. And then I read this book, and by the end, I was originally gonna give it like 3 stars, and then I ended up giving it 1 star, and I'm going to explain the reasons. So first of all, one of the reasons I find with this book is the one thing I want to compliment, and it is the main positive thing about this book, besides the concept, is that the writing I really like. The writing is very accessible, very straightforward. There's no like super heavy prose, and there's no. It's not. It's not. It doesn't seem. It's not going to be something like that's going to be hard to read or hard to understand. It's really easy to understand this book and what's happening. That is my main, mm, I think, the main thing I kind of want to call it. Like it's really easy. It's really easy to understand. It's easy. It's easy to get into it. And the second thing though that I found about this book is again the concept. So those things are amazing. Other things that however, I did find things that I genuinely didn't quite enjoy in this book, and those things are what I'm going to talk about now. So one of the things that I thought would have been really good, but I didn't quite enjoy as much, is the very random glimpses into other people's lives. So we got glimpses into other people. Some people worked for Deathcast. Other people, there was another one that was going to die that day, and she thought she was being pranked by her boyfriend. So we got all these random glimpses of other people that I don't think really mattered to the story because they really didn't add anything for me. So I thought this would have been really good for world building purposes. However, there is no world building in this story, and I think that's one of the things that should have definitely been a part of the story. World building was necessary. While it takes place in New York in our current time, the author adds a new element to our world where you can be told when you're going to die. This is an entirely new element in our world, and even though it takes place, in present time in like 2017, this is still, or 2018 or whatever it still takes place in our world with an added element. And as there is an added element, there needs to be world building to make it feel like a part of our world. Because how the hell does Deathcast know that people are going to die? To me, that is very important. Now, I know there's going to be a prequel. I'm not going to pre-order. I'm just going to borrow it from the library if it's there, if not, and see what they have. I do know that there's going to be a prequel, and I know that I think it's called The First to Die at the end. And while it sounds interesting, I cannot say it'll if it will sorry guys, if it will actually answer any of those questions. I'm hoping it is, considering the length of the book. Now, I'm not too sure if it will, but I'm hoping it will. But the point is, though, that this, you don't need you shouldn't have to read a prequel to answer all your questions. I think it's cool, but there are certain things that just you should at least still remind people of in the book. Or at least tell them. And there's no world building here. With an added element, I think you really need to add some world building. Now, this is something that J.K. Rowling did really well in Harry Potter. For the record, I do know that she's not the best person, or that they're not the best person, but I do choose to separate art from the artist. So, yeah. Anyway, this is something they actually did very well in Harry Potter, where they really built up the wizarding world. There's like, and I'm talking about the books, not what happens out of the books, but in the books they really built up they really built up Hogwarts. They really built up the wizarding world really, really well, where it feels super real and it's great. So that is actually something that that they actually did really well in their writing. So I do think that with an added element you need to add some world building. While this story was very introspective, it was still very necessary. Another thing is actually the characters. I feel like they were established well, but I don't feel like they were developed enough. And I know they're supposed to have some form of arc, and I didn't feel like they had a really good arc, honestly. I didn't really feel super attached to the characters. I really didn't feel interested in if they were going to die or not. I will say, however, that there was a scene. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the way Mateo died, there was a scene when I was reading this, because I was reading this when I was in Pennsylvania in a trip with my family, and I was reading this while I was sitting there. When Mateo died at the end, the way he died, I honestly was almost crying. It was such a sad way to die. But yeah, I didn't I don't know, I didn't find that the characters were very interesting in that end, and I wasn't super attached. The other thing is actually has to do with writing, and it is one of the things that annoys me the most. So with the glimpses that we have of other people's stories and their lives in the story, they are written so we have Mateo and Rufus's chapters written in first person, and then everything else with everybody else is written in third person. I genuinely I don't like that. For me, I don't think there's a reason to do that. I feel like, okay, so let me explain something. I have used third and first person writing at the same time in my own writing. But I have a specific reason why I did it, and I think for me there needs to be a reason for the shifting point of views. So when I used third person and first person at the same time, I had a story where there were parts in first person and parts in third person, and the reason I did it is because the first person part of my writing specifically was to tell a story. So the person was telling you a story, and instead of having like the dialogue thing where you're just putting out a monologue, I decided to just write that first part in first person, and then third person will be the present time. So that is what I decided to do. But if you have randomly shifting point of views where it's like one chapter is first person and then the next chapter is third person. I personally, as a reader, this is very subjective to me, subjective to me. I personally, as a reader, get pulled out of the story, and I get and it's very disorienting to me. I don't enjoy that part. So, yeah, I ended up giving it 1 star. That's it. Oh, wait, one more thing. The romance. The romance doesn't make sense here. It feels like it was shoehorned in. Like it was like, okay, I need these characters to fall in love because they're going to die. And it feels shoehorned in. It didn't work out for me. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section your thoughts on They Both Die at the End. I feel like this review could be very controversial because a lot of people love it and it gets a lot of hype every time, or at least they got a lot of hype before. But honestly, I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. I think it had a good concept, but for what it had, I don't think it did enough. That's it. Those are my thoughts on that end. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you next week for another review. Next week's review is Her Night with the Shifter. I'll see you then. With that, consider subscribe. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing to my blog and to my channel. Consider checking the description for links. In my blog, I also share video links. So if by any chance you missed a video and you're subscribed to my blog, there will be just a post with a link to whatever latest video I have going on. At least I've been doing that lately. I also make sure to do a lot of writing on my own, though. I want to make sure I write too. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I will see you soon for another video. Until then, consume stories. Bye.